In the last session, I discussed about air pollution and its causes. We also have seen that noise also included under air pollution. Now, in this session, I'm going to talk about how to control air pollution by taking an example. Let's see, controlling vehicular air pollution. This I'm going to explain by taking a case study of Delhi. We know that Delhi is the capital of India, and India is a very big country. And being the capital to this big country, it has more number of vehicles. So it has so many vehicles that if you put Gujarat and West Bengal together, so all those vehicles present in these two states combined together, they are present in Delhi itself. So it indicates that it has very heavy vehicular traffic. Now, in 1990s, according to the statistics, we came to know that Delhi ranked fourth among 41 most polluted cities in the world, right? So Delhi, it ranked fourth among 41 most polluted cities in the world, and the pollution became so serious that public have taken the interest, and the public, they filed a case in the Supreme Court, and that's what I call it, a public interest litigation. So in short, it's called PIL, and this was filed in Supreme Court. And after a lot of listenings and arguments, the Supreme Court ordered the government of Delhi to take appropriate measures to reduce air pollution. Now, let us see what are those measures taken by the Delhi government to reduce the air pollution in Delhi. Let's see, measures taken by Delhi government to reduce air pollution. So the first point on their list is to convert the entire public transport from being using petrol or diesel to CNG. So that's what entire public transport should shift from using petrol or diesel to CNG. So here the CNG, that stands for compressed natural gas. And we know that these petrol and diesel are the fossil fuels, and using these fossil fuels will release a lot of air pollutants. That is what the Delhi government, okay, so they wanted all this public transport, okay, to use the CNG instead of petrol and diesel. So the public transport that includes like city buses, okay, cabs, and so, which will be using the petrol or diesel, and now they must compulsory use the CNG instead of these fossil fuels. Now the question comes, why to switch over to CNG instead of this petrol and diesel? So what are the benefits, okay, of using this CNG? So that's what I say, why CNG. So there are okay, certain things why we have considered CNG. So the first thing is the CNG burns more efficiently. So it burns more efficiently when compared with petrol and diesel. So this petrol and diesel, they produce a lot of unbound hydrocarbons, right? Whereas this produces a very less. So here that's what I say, very little will be left unburned. So whereas in this case a lot of, okay, will be left unburned. So in this case of a CNG, very little will be left unburned. Then CNG is cheaper than petrol or diesel. So it is cheaper than petrol and diesel. And right, it cannot be siphoned off by thieves, that which means it cannot be stolen by thieves. Whereas in the case of petrol and diesel, as they are in the liquid state, it's very quite easy to steal them. So and many cases have happened stealing this petrol or diesel. But in case of CNG, it's quite difficult to steal the gas. Next, it cannot be adulterated like petrol or diesel. Adulteration, which means mixing some other substances. So here there are so many situations where the petrol and diesel were mixed with the kerosene or maybe some other substances and they use it. Now using such adulterated petrol or diesel can cause two problems. One, it can damage the engine, and another one, it causes a very heavy pollution. So right now as we are using CNG, right, it's very quite difficult, okay, to adulterate this CNG. So this is what the benefits, why we use why we have to switch over to CNG from the petrol and diesel. So the Delhi government have ordered that to use the CNG instead of petrol and diesel, okay, in case of this public transport. So what are those okay, right, benefits of using CNG is that it burns more efficiently and very little will be left unburnt, and it's a cheaper than petrol or diesel and cannot be adulterated like petrol or diesel, and also it cannot be stolen, right? But there is a problem in using, okay, CNG. So that is switching over to CNG is a problem. So what is that? Laying down pipelines. So laying down these pipelines to deliver CNG, right, uh, through the distribution points, right, and points or pumps, and ensuring uninterrupted supply. So the problem, okay, switching over to CNG. So even now you can see that very few in places you find these CNG supplying units. So mostly you will find petrol pumps, okay, I mean the diesel or petrol pumps, and very less, okay, CNG right, supplying points. So that is distribution points or okay, pumps are very less when compared with petrol and diesel. The reason why is laying down these pipelines to deliver CNG is quite difficult. So that is the reason here. There is only one negative, okay, in switching over to CNG. Right, so that's about some points switching over to CNG. Now let us see the other right measures what Delhi government have taken to reduce the air pollution. Right, the next one, removing old vehicles. So each vehicle has its lifespan. So once that period of lifespan completed, definitely those vehicles should not be used, or it should be sent for recycling and so, right. But in case of India, most of the people like to use those vehicles for a very very long time, and these older vehicles will not be able to burn the fossil fuels efficiently, and because of that a lot of unburned hydrocarbons and other toxic gases will be released into the atmosphere, polluting the environment, right. So hence, okay, the Delhi government have taken strict okay norms that to completely remove these old vehicles. Then using unleaded petrol. We know that the lead in the petrol, if we use it, and it will be released into the atmosphere, and the lead in the atmosphere can cause a severe damage to human health and also other animals. So hence compulsory, right, the Delhi government have said to use only unleaded petrol. Then use of low sulfur petrol or diesel. So they should ensure that the petrol and diesel have less content of this sulfur. Then use of catalytic converters. Already we have seen what this catalytic converter is capable of. It helps in reducing the air pollutants, okay, like carbon monoxide, okay, nitric oxides, and so to converting them into right non poisonous gases, and so that is a use of a catalytic converter is compulsory, and it's been okay made mandatory, okay, across all the vehicles, right. Then stringent pollution norms are imposed. So a very strict stringent means very strict pollution norms have been imposed. So what these are pollution norms, like for example Euro 3 norms, like we'll take here, okay, Euro 3 norms. So these Euro norms in India, they are referred as Bharat stage emission standards. Okay, that's what I mentioned here. So Euro norms are equivalent to Bharat stage emission standards. Okay, I'll mention it down. Refers to Bharat stage emission standards. Okay, anyway, I will write it again. Right, so I have written here. So Euro norms are equivalent to Bharat stage emission standards. So in short, we write as BSES. Okay, so now we are actually referring it as just Bharat stage. So BS1, okay, BS2, to Bharat stage 2, okay, and Bharat stage 3, like that it has gone. Now what we have is, okay, BS 6. So at present we have this Bharat stage 6. I think you might have already come across with the news, right, saying that all the vehicles should follow this BS 6 from April 2020. So this being have come into act from April, okay, 2020. And right now, these stages, that is emission standards, are equivalent to these Euro norms here. Now we shall see one example of that Euro 3 norms, right? So Euro 3 norms, right? So this Euro 3 norms say that the sulfur to be controlled at 350 ppm, sulfur to be controlled. So we need to reduce that, okay, sulfur content to 350, okay, ppm. Of course that ppm stands for parts per million, okay. And this sulfur should be controlled to 350 pm in diesel, okay. So here in diesel it should be around 350 ppm here. And then right, in case of petrol, okay, it should be controlled at 150 ppm, okay, right. And here the point here is to control this sulfur, and stage by stage they like to reduce the sulfur content in the petrol or diesel here. And one more point under this Euro 3 norms is that the aromatic hydrocarbons, so there are aromatic hydrocarbons, and these aromatic hydrocarbons should be controlled, okay, at 42%. So it should be at 42%. And stage by stage we like to reduce this sulfur content finally to 50 ppm, okay. So finally, to bring sulfur content to 50 ppm, and this actually helps in reducing the total level to 35%, right. So that's, I'll mention here, bring down the sulfur level to 35%, okay. And of course this sulfur content to be at 50 ppm in petrol or diesel. Now let us see some mass emission standards in India, right. The first one, BS4, that is Bharat stage 4. I think these words you might have seen on especially the public transportations, like of course in case of Karnataka, the KSRTC buses, on them you may see definitely the labels like this, right, BS4, okay, BS3 or BS2 and so, right. That if you happen to see it, it means that that's an engine which runs with the Bharat standard 4 okay, norms or with the three norms. Now here the BS4 is a norm, right? And this was right post on these four wheelers, okay, and this started from April 2017 throughout the country, okay. So from April 2017 throughout the country, so compulsory, right? All those manufacturing, car manufacturing, or okay, motor bike manufacturing, whatever that engine manufacturing, okay, companies, they have to upgrade the engines to these standards, and that actually helps in reducing air pollution, okay. So the BS4 was imposed for four wheelers, and that started from April 2017, okay, to throughout the country here. Then the same BS4 was imposed to three wheelers, and that also of course started from 1st April 2017, right, and throughout the country, okay. Now the same norms have been, okay, imposed on two wheelers also, right, and this was also from April 2017 throughout the country, okay, right. This information is present in your, okay, recent textbook. So earlier older textbooks have different information. So already I think I have told you in the class that the textbook has been changed in from the academic year 2018 to 19. So you have to be careful in that case. You should use the textbook that have been modified in 2018 and 19. So there are some corrections they have did from 2018 and 19, and it's being continued, okay. So old textbook have a different information, so don't compare this information with the old textbook. So you go with new textbook. So if you happen to see something like this, then definitely it's a new textbook which you are following, okay. So here these are some mass emission standards in India. So BS4, okay, and which were imposed on these four wheelers, three wheelers, and two wheelers, and that almost started, okay, from the April 2017, and we have come to know that this year from April 2020 we have new emission standards, that is Bharat stage 6. So now almost every company, okay, these automobile manufacturing companies, they have to upgrade their engines to meet the norms of Bharat stage 6. So they put some rules and regulations, and according to that they have to manufacture the engines, right, and that actually helps in reducing this air pollution. And now anyway, with all these emission standards and switching over to CNG, finally the Delhi government succeeded in reducing the air pollution, and it significantly reduced this air pollution and increased the quality of air, okay, between 1997 and 2005, right. So that's what I mentioned here. The levels of carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide, they significantly reduced between this 1997 to 2005, and this improved quality of air in Delhi. So this is how the Delhi government became successful in reducing, okay, air pollution. Of course, now the point, it's the only in case of 1997 to 2005. Now again, okay, after that the same thing continued, and now actually again the Delhi is facing the same problem of air pollution. So hence again some more actions have to be taken to control that air pollution, not only in Delhi, throughout the country. We have to follow stringent rules to control this air pollution, otherwise it becomes very quite difficult for us to live in our own uh, country. And that's all about air pollution. In the next session, we shall say about water pollution causes and how we can control the water pollution.